коллеги, всех приветствую. Надеюсь.
Dear colleagues, good evening. I hope this conference is running really well and you find a lot of useful things here. Let's just establish some contact with you as well. I would like to speak about the SOAR system, and without further ado, I would like to speak about myself. I'm Roman Ovchennikov. I'm the head of the Security Vision Department, and it's a vendor of SOAR, so we have something to say. We've been tackling the information security incidents for many years, and it's one of the products and one of the things that we have learned to work with, and we have accumulated some statistics on it. So there is a class of SOAR products, solutions, security, orchestration, automation, and response. You may all be familiar of these SOAR solutions that are related to formalizing automation, improving, enhancing, making the reactions process more transparent in the departments that are related to that. We can tackle SOAR as a product which can be installed and forgotten about, but that's not the way to work with it. SOAR and its implementation and development is an endless process, an ongoing process, and you need to tackle that with the PDCA. You just need to constantly improve and enhance because threats are changing. The infrastructure is changing, and you may be aware that over the last year you felt that how the landscapes of the security products are changing. You may all be aware of that. And the processes in the company are changing as well. We are not tackling this particular thing, but we may be doing something else. So that's an ongoing process. We are not in the constant state. So what's the maturity evaluation? We can do some SOAR mapping on SOC. SOC is not a mandatory thing, but SOAR is this reaction thing. So the processes that the solution has. For example, I don't have any two similar SOC. There may be a SOC that is a unique thing in terms of technology, process, people, whereas SOAR reflects all those processes. So there is no two equal and similar implementations of SOAR. So there may be different tasks, different priorities, etc. on how SOAR is used. It may be used differently. How SOAR can be used, but that's not the end list. You can expand it until the very end of this session. So therefore, there should be a uniform measure, which is very hard to come up with. So the main thing here, why we need it, because like I said, it's a process. We need to have a target to which you'll have to be moving to, and you need to be able to evaluate your condition. The actual evaluation model is built upon this CMMI process, this maturity concept, and there are different maturity stages. So let's just tackle this criteria. The first needed and key thing is the content that we use in SOAR. We relate connectors, reaction scenarios, reports, etc. Everything that we have in this SOAR, that's the content. But the question here is how we approach this content. There is a four-level grade. The first thing is that they use the embedded content, some commercial solutions, open source solutions, some embedded content without customization. The second thing is then this content has some requirements. We adapt it to the infrastructure, the processes, without radical changes. The next stage is that we slightly rework this content and we use it with our specifics in our infrastructure, the processes. And the final phase is that we know exactly what we need, what we'd like to achieve. We are so great, and we'd create this content to satisfy our needs. The next criteria for the maturity model would be the reaction scenario goal. The base level is that when SOAR used for tickets, we register tickets there and we have a minimal workflow there for analytics. The second level is when we enrich this, when we add some more playbooks to it with some simple reaction, enrichment reaction. We have some specific playbooks, incidents that we include there. And the level number 3, when we have some of our functions fully automated, when we automate 3A, categorization, prioritization, and the main thing is that we believe in reaction, we start doing it, and sometimes we do it completely, sometimes we do it manually. As we make a decision, as the analyst makes a decision. And the fourth thing is the perfect picture of the world when this scenario is implemented completely. We fully automatically enrich, localize, react. So there's a full, complete cycle before we complete and close the alerts. For most of the alerts, with some exceptions, of course, we won't be able to avoid the exceptions, but there should be minimal exceptions. That we should be focused on the maximum level of automation here. Therefore, what would be the actions? What would be the actions required for our scenario to evaluate the maturity? First of all, the first thing is that just we register the alerts and we send notifications to the people responsible about such alerts, and it would be nice to do something about it. The second thing is when we enrich, we do some integrations, we gather these events in the context, and then we send this all to the analyst. Number 3 is when we add the reaction to it. We integrate it and we allow the system to react to something to prevent this from aggravation. And final thing, when such activities are conducted in a fully automated mode. That's what I mean to say. The next criteria is the level of automation. The level of automation that we have in our activities in the fully automated blocks, where we can measure it differently, and we measure that in different places. So how many playbooks we have, we can measure and count how many manual and automated actions. So this method is taken, it's up to you to decide, but there should be some automation of this process. And as we grow it, we are showing you the first level, the 10% automation level. We keep on working manually, but in a certain system. For some people, it's a very good step. Then we automate up to 40% of the actions. So some of the key and most frequently repeated actions are automated, and it takes off a lot of load from analysts, and we allow them to do something interesting. And number 3, when we cover this with 80% of automation, and when you understand, and final level is when we jump between 80 and 100%, the perfect picture of the world, as I called. Here's next criterion. the level of integration. SOAR as a solution contains a business logic which spreads out like a spider over the infrastructure so that we can do this automation, etc. So its maturity also depends on a few factors. There's a base level, and we'll be able to achieve quite a lot of things here. But if we start to connect very simple analytics, simple services for analytics, we'd be expanding our level of maturity and move to the second level. The third level is when we start to interact with the web intelligence, when we work through the net IT, through their service desks, when we work with all that, it allows you to reach the third level of maturity. And the fourth level of maturity is the global thing, when we have connected all the necessary things, but very frequently, when we have connected that, we have systems, the business-like systems, industrial systems, when we have maximum trust to the system. So we can connect some business critical systems. We understand what we are capable of doing, what we are not capable of doing. So we have access to these systems.
Так, пропустили. Ну и немаловажным фактором с точки зрения внедрения...
And a very important factor in terms of the SOAR implementation
к SOAR относится как к системе, находится ли она на администрировании...
is whether this system administered, managed and growing. That's very important. SOAR is a process. It should be administered, managed and growing. That's the indicator of the maturity of SOAR. Right here, the development levels start from install and forget. So the vendor installs, clicks next, launches the system, it works, and no one ever returns to it. No one ever administers it. That's level one. The second level is when we have someone in the company who tackles this system, who inspects this and verifies its status and may change something in this system. If the process, for example, has changed, they'd be able to fix it. At least they react to the errors that may arise.
Это когда мы, пусть на нерегулярной основе, но все-таки занимаемся...
The next thing, we do develop this system not in a very systematic level, but at least we have people who can do that.
Какие-то ресурсы, они этим занимаются.
And some hours have been dedicated, some hours have been allocated for that. Some time has been allocated for that. They develop the content. And one final, highest top level is when we formalized this process of perfecting the system, when we still get the feedback, when we have this development process of the new playbooks, there is some kind of the approach to react to a new threat. That's actually the top level in terms of the support.
Получаем вот некую такую табличку, на которой можно отметить по разным...
In the end, I would like to show you this summary. So if we take a more global look,
дать, на вот каждый
level 3 and level 4, you can map a potential customer, an organization, for instance, that may use SOAR and have a portrait of this organization. So, for example, if we speak about the first level, of SOAR implementation. They may be a company that somehow has some basic security monitoring. Some CM may be implemented there, so there may be some data collection from the console, some mail collection and analysis. Well, at least there is some monitoring going on. So
которые занимаются только реагированием, то есть не то, что они вообще не занимаются, только реагированием.
they are not reacting somehow. They have no dedicated stuff. They react in the last place ever. So if we take this approach to monitoring and their capabilities of reacting to incidents, normally they process just very critical events. Everything which is less critical is very seldom considered. So very often we have CM that everyone ignores, and there is a trend. If we have the first level organization about this, how this monitoring is arranged, or for example, they bought, or not bought, but they implemented this SOAR at a base level. They understand something about their security, they take care about their security, and they use the NSP providers' services just to implement the first and second line of support. So they cannot do it on their own, but at least they understand the problems and they understand how to bridge the gaps. The second level is then when we have the very reactive incident treatment. Here in the company we have people that do it, but using their own experience. They don't have processes in place, they are not formalized. We just do it with the people's experience. We bridge the gaps, and such people, such companies have some division by reacting and administering these events, so they have time to do some tune-up activities, and they reduce the number of false cases and alerts, and they are ready to go through most of the alerts. And apart from using MSP browsers, they are a little bit ahead of that, and they can use the services of forensics and new analysis. So it would be too late to do that if they have been breached already, but it's still good just to make an analysis. So, for example, if we have invested into finding out the root cause of the problem, it's already good. Level number 3 is SOC. Having this SOC in place is not a mandatory requirement. It's more like a very good level of maturity, where we've defined the processes, where we've dedicated departments, and they work 8x5, 24/7. It's a high level of maturity. We have a transparent process, and SOAR is used here for increased efficiency. In the first level, we just needed to have the registration method of SOAR. At the second level, we do something, but here on the third level, we just need to increase the speed of their reaction. They know what they want to achieve, they know how to do that, and they already use some more expanded analytics tools and more specific things like cyber intelligence, hunting, so they become much more aware of the maturity of their processes. And the fourth level implies proactive reaction to cyber security threats. So this entire company is improving all the time. So there is a special approach to cybersecurity in the company. It's ready to face the known and unknown threats, and it treats these processes with a proper approach and automates them in the proper way. So automation covers most of the processes. It's not just reaction, but overall all of the processes in the company. So we have analysts, we have managers who tackle the improvement of the processes, all of the processes. We're not talking just about playbooks, we're talking about all of the SOC processes. There are different SOCs, there are different processes, so SOAR can automate these processes, and that's where we work on the constant improvement. And some statistics now. Where, in terms of maturity, the organizations belong. We can, of course, find some cases in different levels, but if we take some average numbers, I would indicate it as follows, as it's shown in the slide. So it seems like somewhere between 2 and 4, and it's very good level, because level 4, I guess, is the top level, which is not achievable for mere mortals, that will never achieve. So level 4 is maybe for someone
предел мечтаний, к которым нужно стремиться. И поэтому
a top dream.
у нас большая часть организаций, по крайней мере,
So most of the companies that we work belong to levels between 2 and 4. They are no longer in level 1. They are already in level 2, closer to level 3. So that explains the level of cybersecurity awareness in the country, which is a good news for me. And I guess we'll be developing, and with time we understand what would be the next level of cybersecurity. What would be the conclusion that I would like to make out of it? We may use different methods to understand where you belong, which level you likely to belong to. You may find out what else can be done and paint a picture, a roadmap, make a roadmap out of it so that you'll follow this and do it in the next few years. But you just need to understand, for some people it may be complete perfection, but for some other ones, level 2, level 3 would be more than enough. It depends. It depends on what you would like to strive for. I'm done. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'm ready to take them.
Отлично. Всем хорошего вечера.
Thank you and good night.